Good morning and welcome to Fat Cow Farm. Now our little bee shelter here is now all complete, and so what I wanted to do was just give you that little bit of a tour of it all being finished now. And so what we need to do is now I've decided that we're going to wait a little bit longer before transferring the bees across, and I'm just waiting for basically the Tagasagi trees to come out in bloom, and then I'll bring the bees up here and or in, at least that way they're going to have a good feeding source in their new digs. So anyway, what I thought I would do is, like I said, is give you a little bit of a tour. And as you can see, I've got the roof on there and the gutter and the downpipe. Now I just need to, I'm still thinking about the water source, what I'm going to do there in reference to a tub or some sort of stock trough or something like that. But at least that way, that's all ready to rock and roll. So what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around and then we'll go from there. So I'll see you soon. All right, so as you can see, we've got the all the blade walls are on now, and so this is still looking at that the offset. So my idea really came from when I was living up in Queensland. They've got casement windows, so it doesn't matter which way the wind is blowing, you're going to catch some sort of breeze coming through the house. So as you can see, because of the offset there, I've got a curve. Where are we? There we are. Got a curve running through there, which I thought, half looks all right. And then obviously we've got our roof and gutter, just some leftovers that we had all lying around everywhere. So that's just running up onto the ground at the moment. And like I said before, is that I'll work out some sort of water vessel or container or something like that, that's nice and shallow. And at least that way the bees have got fresh water. But what I will do is I will take you down there to show you that spring, which is not too far, which is basically just here. And at least that way we can see what we've got going on. So yeah, so I'm absolutely really stoked. And the sun is still picking up the hive, be it this is our old one. And so I'm actually thinking that I'm going to get a new colony organised for probably September or October, and I'll set this one up here ready to rock and roll. So there we go. We've got a good grade on the roof. I think it's only a 2 by 2. So what's that for? So we're only going to get 4 litres on every mil of rain. So it's small, but the whole idea really was to just protect the bees over those torrential downpours. And it was interesting, I was reading an article just the other day, and all these crazy weather patterns and everything else that we get, so we've got that 35 mil in half an hour and stuff like that, and they're pretty much saying that is now our norm. So we have to sort of adapt to those sort of conditions. So this is where it's all sort of heading down. All right, yeah, so and then at the back here we've got quite a large big area to stand under. And I'll just try and get out of the sun here. So we can come up and stand in behind the hive here, and you can see the flight path that the bees are going to have. So there's a good 10 meters there before that stock fence, and straight into the bush, or they can come from the bush behind me. All right, so not a bad little shelter from materials we just had lying around. All right, what I'll do is I'll show you the spring just behind me now, and show you where the bees are going to pick up their water source. All right, I'll see you soon. All right, so this is what the goats have uncovered for us, because this is all covered in blackberries. And what I have here is, oh, the dogs have just been drinking, so they've just messed it all up. But you can see all this water in here, and it's sort of just heading off down that way there. Now, a lot of you might remember when we were looking for a spring, that spring on the other video was over there, sort of where the dogs are now. So this one here sort of just presented itself. So I think what I'll end up doing is just making a large hollow here, and so at least that way the bees have got that constant source of water rather than just sort of mucking around in puddles and all that sort of stuff. Now this this spring sort of, or it's not really a spring, I suppose, it's more of a seep. You can see all the water running through here. And then what it does, oh, I'm getting wet now, sort of comes through all this sort of tea tree and then runs, you might be able to see there's larger puddles here and all that sort of stuff. So this area is very, very, very damp. And for those who have been watching, our seep collection is sort of down the other side of that valley there. And you can see there's another big area here. So this whole area here is purely just like a big rocky knoll. And so this is what we can't do really much for it, so that's why we sort of fenced it off to have it like a natural corridor for birds and things. But you can now see the bee shelter just ahead of us, and so what we found is that because it was just totally inaccessible for paddocks, for cows and things like that, that's why we thought we would close this down for goats, and they've cleaned it right up. And then in doing that, what's happened is that they've exposed so many wet areas that we didn't know we had. So this is sort of their playground. But when we first bought this place, you couldn't see the ground. It was just chock-a-block full of blackberries. So this is what 12 goats do for you in about 4 years. So we're getting sun coming through now. We've got some green grass coming through. So really, like, the whole ecosystem is starting to change, and we're getting a lot more of those sugars back into the ground, and all this material is just sort of just being dropped. So it's all just building up. Yeah, so look, I mean, from our bee shelter now to, I'm standing in the middle of, or just to the edge of the this seep here. You know, we're probably looking at around about 50, 60 meters. So it's not that far, and they've got sort of a clear access going through the tree line there. So there you go. All right, so I just wanted to sort of give you a bit of an update and a completion of the bee shelter and what we've got going on. And I think certainly now with the sun, the winter sun coming onto it, and then with the summer sun, and then we've got the dappled shade coming out from the west with the protection of these trees, our bees are going to be a lot happier, and hopefully they can spend more time actually foraging rather than just sort of trying to survive. So that's the whole idea. All right, so for all about your bee shelters, and we're going to have to relocate the bees and then go from there. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.